Everyone, this is Giulio Coraggio, location at the Italian Intellectual Property and Technology Department at the law firm DLA Piper. This is the podcast Diritto al Digitale. I'm really happy to have here as guest Fabrizio Capobianco, that has very interesting story. He's a partner at Liquid Factory and is a venture capitalist. He defined himself as a startupper, but Fabrizio, I will let you introduce yourself. Thank you very much, first of all, for being here and accepting my invite.
Oh, thanks for having me. So I'm a startup. I just moved back from Silicon Valley after 23 years back to Italy. I now live in Valtellina. I grew up in Valtellina, which is a valley north of Lake Como, the Alps of Lake Como for the Americans. I'm an engineer. I have a PhD in computer science, got in Italy. In 94, I started my first company, was the first internet company in Italy called Internet Graffiti. I thought the internet was going to make it. And so I built a company there and sold website and made it another company that went after the intranet. And then in 99, I moved to Silicon Valley, worked for Tipco, then Reuters, building online trading platforms. For example, we built Fineco in Italy. And then I started my third company in the US in 2002 called Funambol, with the headquarters in Silicon Valley and the engineers in Italy, because the people I found in the US were not as good as the engineers I had in Italy. And then I brought in I raised a few tens of millions of dollars for it, and then from American VCs. And then I brought in a CEO in 2010, and he's still the CEO of Funambol. And then in 2012, I started another one called Talk TV, which was to, watch TV with, in particular, soccer with your friends remotely, because I'm a soccer fan. And it was adopted by Juventus, Real Madrid, Barcelona. We got to 40 million users, and then we sold it to Minerva Networks, for which I am the chief innovation officer. Talk TV was different because it was a liquid company, meaning that I was the only one in Silicon Valley and everyone else was in Italy, but dispersed. So we never had an office. We had first engineer in Sicily, then in Sardinia, then in Rome, and so on and so forth. And now I'm back in Italy since a couple of years because now I can. And in particular in Valtellina, I started this startup factory called the Liquid Factory.
Great. Well, the only topic we're not going to cover today is that you are a Juventus fan, because everyone knows that I'm a Napoli fan, and the relationship between our teams is not great. But
we like Napoli fans. We don't have anything against the Napoli fans. It would be different if you were an Inter fan. That would be hard to have a conversation.
Okay. Fabrizio, my first question to you would be, obviously, what is the status of the Italian startup market? Everyone complains that we are not the same level as our European peers. Is that right? What is the missing piece here?
Well, I think the numbers show we are not at the level of the other European countries. I mean, the amount of capital raised for startups in Italy, it's comparable to Catalonia, not even Spain. We're behind Spain. We're in a region of Spain, and we should be ahead of Spain and probably at the level of France and Germany and the UK. And they are at a completely different ballgame. I'm not talking about my country, the US and Silicon Valley in particular. It's just that we are behind. And we're behind because of, I think because we started late and we're trying to catch up. There are many reasons why it is taking some time. That some is just the way the system works in Italy. But I think we're catching up. The main issue for Italy in particular, but also for other parts of Europe, is the fact that we really have a hard time generating exits for startups. So you have the money to start, you grow, and then you kind of keep the company alive forever because you don't have a buyer. And in the venture capital business, this is the thing that makes everything work. You invest in your first 5 years, and then you get exit in the next 5 years, and then the money you get, you put them back into the system. This is really hard to do in Italy right now.
And so do you think that something should change at the level of at the regulatory level, at the level of politician strategy? I mean, political strategy.
I mean, I think it's. I mean, I'm not. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm not. I think I learned in Silicon Valley is that you should not count on the politician. You should just hope they don't put hurdles in front of you. So that is the message. And I know a lot of people need us here. It's because of the government, but we can do it without it if they help us, as they are doing with CDP, and they put a good amount of money at work. So I think they're doing their part. I think one of the main issue we have in Italy, at the infrastructure level, is something that Draghi pointed out in his report last week or 2 weeks ago. And he's saying that the corporate law we have in each single country in Europe is such that makes it really hard to move your company from here to Spain, to Germany, to France, and not having one corporate structure and law for the entire European community, and is proposing to have one for startups because it's easier to start there, makes it harder for an American company that wants to buy a European startup to buy a European startup. In order to buy an Italian startup, if you are a Silicon Valley company, you have to talk to Italian lawyers, which are the worst. And I know a lot of them, including my brother. And you have to do with notary public, and that's my sister-in-law. And it's a hard space. And then you have TAR. I mean, Americans are scared of coming to Italy and buying companies. And so you can't buy 3 guys in a startup. You don't do an acquisition of people. You don't do those kind of acquisitions because the structure is so hard. If we had one European law for everyone, and you can move your company around, and American could buy a French company as a German company, Italian company like this, I think we'll get to be close, because then the wheel starts turning properly.
So do you think that it's the level of uncertainty around Italy, the regulatory environment, the complexity, the political uncertainty, which is discouraging investments? Because I mean, the inconsistency in terms of regulations is also in place in Spain.
Yeah, I think so. I'm American, so I've been there 23 years. I've seen companies, and I've seen my peers thinking, okay, maybe we could buy this company. Ooh, no. Italy, no. We don't have we're not good at marketing what's happening in Italy. When you get here, you have this feeling that if something happens, it could take you 20 years to get a legal proceeding done. When you come here, it might be very hard to fire the people that work in the company. And in there, I think I have a hard time disagreeing on some of that. I haven't worked here and in US for many years, so they are scared. I mean, the first thing you do is they cut the valuation of the company by 4. Just because you are in Italy, and then they start looking at, well, can we do it? How we do? Acqui-hire? Probably not, because we don't know how that works. The only one to buy here have either an office here or someone that knows the market well here. It's a hard thing. And again, I think it's the last piece, because 25, 30 years ago when I started my first company, there was nothing, and then now there is money to start, and so you start having that thing, but it's the last part that is still missing. And if we don't have exit, then we don't have money coming back in the system, so we're limited. So one thing we're trying to do, the Liquid Factor is starting to trying to take it the other way. We're attracting talent into Valtellina to send them to Silicon Valley, but not everyone to Silicon Valley, just one person. So we're getting entrepreneur in residence in Valtellina. We're funding them to get to Y Combinator, so that we can have liquid companies where the entrepreneur is in Silicon Valley and everyone else is in Italy, like my company, because there you can hope for an exit in the next 5 years, because that's our timeline.
Sure. Can you give a bit of more context on what you're doing with the Liquid Factory? Because maybe it's of interest for the audience, how to apply for to be among these 4 candidates per year. How does it work in practice?
Yeah, so we're going to invest in 4 talent, so people young, probably talent that comes to Valtellina, 4 per year. So the batch of 2024, the deadline is October 31st. So it's 6 weeks away, maybe 5. So the website is www.theliquidfactory.com/apply if you want to apply. So we are going to get these 4 kids into Valtellina, staying here probably 3, 6, 12 months, as long as it takes to get them into a accelerator, top accelerator in Silicon Valley. Our main goal right now is Y Combinator because it's the best. And financially, we're putting 200K per startup that we create with the idea to flipping them into a Delaware corp, and so a corporation in Delaware, and where we will transform that into a safe. So we get into Y Combinator with a structure, a cap table that makes sense for them. And so that's pretty. Our document is transparent. We're trying to bring a little bit of Silicon Valley into Valtellina, which is strange. So we're looking for people that are happy to do what I do when I work here, which is I work in the morning, at 11 I stop, I go skiing, at 3 I'm back and I work again. So if someone who's listening doesn't like the mountains, doesn't like the outdoors, hiking, surfing, snowboarding or sailing, because we are 20 minutes to Lake Como, then I don't recommend to apply, because if you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, good, I'm gonna go skiing, that's fine. If you want to go clubbing, this is really not the place to be. Although it's less than 2 hours from Milan and 3 airports, so we're well connected. But the reason to come here is really the outdoors and staying here for as long as it takes to get into YC. Could be 1 application, 2 application, or never.
So do you think that there is a kind of a fresh flavor of change? Because we have some success stories. I'm thinking about a major unicorn, an Italian unicorn that is basically buying companies all around the world, even very well-established companies. And then there are initiatives like the one that you just described. So do you think there are some signs that...
I think there are signs. Once I saw Bending Spoons buy Evernote, I lived in Redwood City. That's my town. That's where I still vote. And all of a sudden I saw an Italian company buying a US company. I thought, okay, something is happening here. The issue with the Bending Spoon, I'm a super fan. I think they did a phenomenal job. Is that it's almost impossible to replicate. So if I'm an entrepreneur in Italy, I say, oh, I'm going to do what Bending Spoons did. It's just a combination of things that was just magic that happened. They were really good. Now are sort of a financial company buying and firing everybody, and they're firing everybody. That's the main thing, is that an Italian company that fires people is just never heard of. So they're doing everything the opposite of what we're used to see. And I think they're doing a phenomenal job. I think it's very hard to replicate. I like to see this system to start creating companies that can be replicated so that we can involve more people. Because having this unicorn that are unique, so unique, that are impossible to have another one, it's hard, but seeing the first steps, the first steps are very clear. Music Match in Bologna, I think they did a phenomenal job. It's a company that can be replicated, and they did it in Italy. I know Max disagrees with me, saying, "Oh, why are you sending people to Silicon Valley? We can do it in Italy." I need the speed. I'm not sending everybody. I'm sending one, but I need the speed of returns rather than something that lasts 20, 30 years. So I think we don't have the speed yet, but all the signs are pointing to the right direction, and I think Bending Spoon is a great example of it.
Yeah, thank you.
Because they also can raise capital. In the past, they would not be able to raise capital. They're raising capital with a financial plan that is very clear and executing on it. So it is a great play.
Absolutely. Fabrizio, this chat was really insightful. I thank you for your time. I'm sure there will be other opportunities to talk in the future, and I hope you're going to have many applications for the Liquid Factory, and if I was in my 20s, I would apply myself.
Yeah, that's actually, I actually built it for myself when I was 23, when I started my first company.
Yeah.
Then my dream would be to have a liquid factory, someone who can help me to get there, that knows, sales, marketing, go to market, how to pitch to a VC, and has done it and can help me. We are 12 partners, so it's a big group. I have Roberto Netti, who's the chairman of Mind the Bridge. We have Matteo Daste, who's a lawyer in Silicon Valley. We have people in Silicon Valley. We have people here. We have Michele Zocca, who's one of the co-founder of Kong, who's a unicorn in Silicon Valley. So it is a group of people that are doing this not for a living, but for giving back what they've learned in Silicon Valley. So if you don't know much, but you have the fire, then I think we could be the right partner for you.